And I'm just going to tell my editor, hi, Maria. This is the intro with Amanda and Gab for the next week's episode. It's Carrie and Angie. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Here we go. Okay. This episode is brought to you by our newest Patreon members, Sinetra Hart and Vair Poynton. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not do this without you. I am so grateful to all of you who are making this show a possibility. You rock. You really do. Amanda and Gab. OMG, Amanda and Gab are back from season 5, episode 29, as my guest co-hosts for this episode to help me introduce the interview that is coming up. I am so excited, have been so excited. Hello, Amanda and Gab.
Hello.
Hi, we're so excited to be back with you.
Oh my God. We were just talking about how when we did the interview, it was years ago, but it was in April, which we're doing right now. It's April again, but it was the height of the pandemic. Like we
That's
were
right. We were
in
1
it.
month into the pandemic when we recorded.
Oh my God, it's been years. So many things have happened. So many things have happened. I know in your lives, so many things have happened because I follow you on the Instagram. So I know.
I see you. I'm like, look at my biggest fan. He's liking my stuff again.
I semi-stalk you. So let's do it's true. It's true. Okay, so if we're gonna have to listen, can the two of you kind of give an overview of what your episode kind of was about? I mean, obviously it was about queer baby making because that's what this show is about, but can you give like a quick little overview of what your episode was so that we can get to where you are now?
Oh, sure. So in addition to talking about how we were pursuing our baby making at the time, we also talked about what we did with our clinic because we experienced microaggressions. You experienced what we identify as assault.
I would just qualify it as a massive systems failure in healthcare and in like patient client driven healthcare, and our motivation to make sure that systems were improved from our own experience to ensure that other people could have a positive, especially queer folks, trans non-binary folks have a better relationship with fertility than the current systems at play. So this was really like a big piece of our fertility journey was fixing the structures.
Yeah, we ended up working with that clinic to do all their back end, all their client care. We worked with them with HR and media, etc., to like really make sure that if they're going to put up the inclusion flag, that it's because they're actually practicing inclusive practices.
It's fantastic what you two did. I'm still in awe, and I was just telling them before we started rolling that I reference your episode all the freaking time because instead of getting, it's so impressive. You're so badass. Like instead of getting mad and like hurt and it's so hard for us, which is what I would probably do. Y'all just like changed. You were like, here, this is what we're going to do for you. We're not going to be hurt from this. We're going to fix this. And that takes strong people, first of all. And it just like means you're super smart and you know how to like make entire systems.
Yeah, I'd say like we were, and well, you could speak for yourself. I was hurt and I wanted to make a change. Like it didn't, but making the change helped with healing a bit. But we also waited until we were ready to receive any response from the feedback we had. So I think like our incidents happened and we didn't give our feedback until like a year later because we were more stable and ready to give that feedback. So it wasn't immediate, but
it had given us the opportunity to do some strategizing and planning as well around what are our wants around bringing this forward? What are the asks? Because I think sometimes like, you know, when you're on the heels of an incident, you know, like you're in that active hurt phase and it's not good timing. And so I think like this really spoke to the ability to take your time. It's on your terms when you want to do reconciliation work, right? When you've been the one kind of injured in a particular scenario.
It's badass. The definition is badass. That's
I'll take it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Put it on a t-shirt.
For folks, because I've had people reach out to me and like say, you know, I experienced this. What do you recommend? How do you recommend like helping places change? Like what's your advice for folks who are thinking, I want to help my clinic change for the better?
Can I plug an organization? Is
Yeah,
that
you can.
allowed?
And
Okay.
go in the show notes.
Collaborate Consulting is an organization in the US that works with fertility clinics on gender and sexually diverse inclusion, in addition to many other aspects of inclusion. But they have great resources. They have free seminars. And they'd be, if a fertility clinic was serious about engaging in a consultancy, I'd really recommend them.
Ooh, okay.
But if someone wanted to do something on their own, what would you recommend? Where would you say they should start?
Your game plan. I think it's like, it's all a bit of strategy, relationships, and communication, right? So I think like identifying the gaps is really like a first step, and what would remedy those gaps. I think a lot of this and a lot of like what we do in community is come forward as a unit as opposed to an individual, and that can involve like anyone on the other end of things. So the people that are receiving the feedback are part of that community, and I think like being able to build bridges and those relationships is really important, because I think like from like a corporate lens, I think oftentimes people are on the defensive as soon as you're like, I have shit to say, and then they prepare a defensive response. But I think like in the spirit of like balanced communication and getting your needs met, like being able to bring the game plan forward and appreciating the different accountabilities, yours and others, and like really laying it out creates an openness, I find, at least with receiving the feedback, and then collaborating in building the system of change. Because I think like without that buy-in on the other side, like you're not going to get very far, right? So I think it's really about that approach at the onset of how you want to start things. That's and like, not to say that it's an easy journey or an easy step, but I think like it requires like a lot of finesse, right? Because you're dealing with human beings and
egos
and like fragility, especially when it comes to systems change, right? Because I think people dig in, and humans don't love change, and so you have to really be aware.
Yeah, I think the way we organized our talking points when we went in was, we said, here's what happened, like fact, here's what happened, here's how it impacted us then, here's how it impacted us long term, here's how it's a for us a queer issue. And then we recommended other people to do the work. We didn't initially recommend ourselves because we weren't sure we wanted to, and we were still patient, so we wanted to entertain that distance. But then I also have had a lot of success. So since then, that clinic has referred me to other clinics in Canada. So I've worked with about 7 or 8 other clinics.
Wow, you got a whole business going.
Yeah, I did. I did. And what I found to make a really big difference in terms of understanding and buy-in was using regional statistics. So as regional as possible, so municipal, or in Canada, provincial or territorial, and nationwide, to say, here are the percentage of people who are self-identifying as a part of this gender and sexually diverse community, and their age group. This is, and the other stat I found was that regardless of how someone identifies, the general population in Canada at the time that I did the statistic or the research, 70% of them were choosing where they went for services, who they wanted to work for, and where they bought their things from, based on whether or not that company was proactively and visibly inclusive. So I'm like, not only is there a growing number of people in Canada for us that are identifying as a part of the community, your general population of people are also choosing whether or not they want to work with you based on your inclusive practices. So if you don't do this, you will become irrelevant very quickly.
God, I love you right now.
It's unfortunately crassly a business case, where it's like, that's sort of the system that we have, and that's the argumentation that gets put forward is a business case.
Yeah.
If you wanna stay relevant, you gotta
It's true.
Make these changes.
But I like that approach, because people will say like, oh, we don't get XYZ here. And I'm like, well, first of all, you probably do, and people just aren't out about it. And if you don't, if you genuinely don't, there's a reason you don't.
Right.
But also, it doesn't matter. Like, even if you don't have anyone from the community coming to your clinic, people who are not identifying as part of the community, it still matters to them. So
yeah, I love that. And as you know, I think everybody's a little bit gay. So like, it's only a matter of time, or like a lot gay. Like, gay is the best. Let's be real here. Okay, so you did all the change, you did the stuff. Now you have a business because you saw a need and you stepped right in, which is how this podcast came about as well. And now you are, what's going on? What do you do? What are you up to?
Yeah, so I did the consultancy on the side of my 9 to 5 for a few years, 3 or 4, whenever it doesn't matter, 3 or 4 years, 5 or 6 years, something like that. I worked primarily with fertility clinics. I worked with fertility pharmaceutical for a while as well. And then I landed I'm an inclusion manager now at an organization, a provincial organization. So I can do it full time now, which is really nice. And I'm able to bring in a lot of different aspects of inclusion and intersection into the work. Whereas in the consultancy, I found it very difficult that people wanted to focus on one aspect of inclusion to the exclusion of many other identity groups, which just...
Intersectionality is still a challenge for people, I think.
It really is.
Yeah. It was tough on that front. So now that I'm in charge, it's a lot easier to like just get the stuff done the way it's supposed to be done. So
that's awesome.
And, yeah, it's great.
And when we spoke, were y'all still pregnant? Or
no, not yet. That was the big thing when we spoke, is that we hadn't had any success in pregnancy yet.
Oh my God. So what's happened? What's going on?
Well, the day that the episode aired, we had just done our embryo transfer. So I think we were 3 or 4 days from the embryo transfer that actually worked.
Yeah. Well, so it was one of these very emotionally heated.
I made a baby. That's what you're telling me?
It's you. It's all you.
We credit you.
That baby dust work for us. The baby dust.
It was kind of funny though, because I feel like I feel like we're going to fall into a bit of a cliche realm, but when we spoke to you last, we had been really actively trying through a bunch of different channels for I think 5 years, and we'd done like the second round of IVF and had been able to have 10 embryos come out of that round, which felt quite successful. But the first 2 didn't take, and it was like a return to that place of despair or hopelessness, where it's just like, man, we're into like year 5, and like, it's a lot. And so Amanda and I, we were heading into the summer, the some of the restrictions with COVID were lifting, the fertility clinic was opening up again. We started talking about looking at another transfer. And, that was the time where like Amanda was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like really done with this. And I feel like I was the one that was like begging and pleading. I'm like, just one more time, just like one more, like we have all these embryos, like let's just, give it a good kick at the can. And so I think kind of begrudgingly you're
yeah. I was crying on the way into the clinic.
She was not having it.
Gab was out of town that day as well. And I was crying on the way into the clinic. I'm like, every part of my body does not want to do this today, but I'm doing it because you went through so much to get those eggs. I'm like, I will give you one more, but I'm like, I can't do this again. And that was the one that worked.
That worked. And it was kind of funny because, I think like having gone through so many like failed attempts, when, we had first received confirmation that we had a viable pregnancy. I don't think either one of us like believed it at all.
Oh,
And I remember I was so dug in and private by that point because I think we'd had so many heartbreaks that I was like, I don't want to tell anyone anything. Like I wanted to wait till literally we were birthing before saying, oh, yes, we were pregnant. Now we have a kid, surprise. And no one would like, like it was COVID. No one saw us. Like we could pull it off. Right. So
I was kind of low key same way because I had gone through so much and everybody knew and everybody asked. I was like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to talk about it. I just don't. And I didn't want the attention. I didn't want that attention. Like, oh my God, you finally did it. Like I didn't want that either. I just wanted to be left alone. And my wife, Anne, was like, oh my God, this is amazing when we found out. And I was like, is it though?
Yeah. I think we were both like, you're right, Jaimie, like the positive responses from people, it was in such a different emotional space than where we were at. Like we were still tentative. We were still like just waiting and see. Like I don't think we really started to let our guard down until the 20-week ultrasound. But like,
well, it was like 23 weeks before we're like, okay, maybe they're right at 20 weeks. I don't know. Like, well.
Yeah, but we didn't like, it felt when people were really happy for us, it felt uncomfortable because it didn't match where we were at. So we were very protective of our emotional space until
because
we
it's a trauma, right? It's a trauma that you went through, and then you need time to heal. But it's a roller coaster here because now baby is being made inside, so it's like where's the time to find that healing and it's slowly happens. And then you forget because then the baby comes and you're just everything's a mess. So what, any other updates you want to share with us?
Yeah. Well, so no, you go ahead. I talk a lot.
She does. She give her the mic, ladies and gentlemen. She will run with it. Yeah. So I was actually going to just like put a warning out there for you because Amanda might go into labor immediately. So we're pregnant now with our second. And the hilarious part about that is that once our first kid, was, I don't want to call it like aging out. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but was getting old enough to consider like, let's maybe think of our second. We were like, okay, well, given that the first took 5 years, like we should really get on it because anticipating that like we're going to have another 5 years and like getting into like kind of the senior realm of our own age group that we're like, okay, like trying to like manage that for ourselves and what we wanted within like our own timelines. And so we went and like started and we like all of our expectations were in the fact that this won't take and we're just going to go through a bunch of embryos. But of course not. This went like the first transfer worked this time.
Holy shit.
And so we'll have our second in like a matter of weeks or maybe like, today. I don't know.
Today, because I make babies. This is established today.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So they'll be almost like 2 years apart to the day. And
perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. Yay. Congratulations. And holy shit, it happened on the first try. You know what? I had a theory after I finally got pregnant and then after I gave birth, I had this theory that if I tried right then, if I tried again, I would get pregnant like that. I couldn't put it to the test because my wife said no. Rightly so, because it was our second and we were done. And I'm glad we didn't go there, but I did have this theory, and now look at you proving it. With your body.
This one is already talking to me about a third. Oh I'm like, listen.
I'm trying to prep her,
we got to take turns if this is gonna.
Man, we still have embryos. I feel like let's give it a couple kicks at the can,
Yeah.
Which is actually why this episode was so like poignant and personal for us.
Let's talk about that because we spent a lot of time talking about systems and how and our families have to go through these systems like so much, right? But the two coming in, Carrie and Angie, kind of went rogue and kind of like did away with the system route with their whole. Well, they still had to go through a clinic actually because the story is they got donated embryos from a Facebook group from a gay male couple and ended up getting pregnant. And it's like a real pay it forward queer baby making story because these embryos traveled all over. I lost track at one point when I was re-listening.
Right?
I'm like, wait,
Crossed
who
the
has the
border a
embryos
couple
still?
times.
Like, where are these with a clutch
Babies,
of
those
embryos?
babies did more traveling than I've done in the last couple of years.
But yeah, but you Amanda, you were saying this their story kind of hit home a little bit.
Yeah, so we have, how many do we have left? Six left. And so the question, like, you can't pay for storage for life, right? So we've been thinking about, like, what do we want to do with them? And so it was really interesting to hear about the experience of folks who have built their family through embryo donation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one thing to just consider it, but it's a whole other thing to listen to folks who have built their family that way.
Yeah, I think one thing that really stood out for me and what I love about this episode as well, and I was telling Amanda this before we hopped on the podcast, was just how I love queer community. And I feel like this was true building community, where everybody understands each other's struggles in a way that other people really cannot, and like wants to support others in achieving their family building goals. And like everyone was a contributor in different ways. And I just thought it was such a heartening episode, especially given like the baseline struggle that everybody goes through. So yeah, really beautiful.
I agree wholeheartedly. And that was like my big takeaway too, just community, queer community, and how creative we are in making our families, and like how giving, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. We don't want to give too much away, but y'all are going to love this episode. And I'm so happy to have had you two back, and I hope to hear from you more, but you're about to be in baby number 2 land. And that's an interesting place. It's an interesting place.
That's right. It's going to be, I'll have a lot of time to sit and listen to podcasts for sure.
That's true. You can
I'll
send
you
voice
memos instead of typing things out, though. That'll be easier.
Yeah, send me some voice memos. I'll drop some voice memos in. We'll do updates by Amanda and Gab, and whether they're going to have the 3rd or the 4th.
Yeah,
I don't know,
my boss at work said, because I told her about that, and she's like, "Just come back to work pregnant. Give Gab what she wants already." I'm like, "Whose side are you on?"
Yes, mine. Mine.
That's so kind of heteronormative. Like, here we are, fitting the mold. So funny. Oh my God. It has been a joy talking to you all. And I can't wait to speak to you again. Can't wait to hear about the baby. So you have to let me know. You have to, I mean, Absolutely. It's going to happen tonight. I'm going to put it in the universe.
I wouldn't say no if it did.
I know. Get the baby out. It's done. It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
I wish you all the best with the birth. And I love the two of you to pieces. So you're welcome back anytime.
We love you. Thank you so much for having us back. Great time.
Anytime. And we have to tell who to roll the tape. I don't know if you know who it is, but those crotchety old ladies.
That's right.
Helen and Beulah. Would you all like to
Sitting over there with the nail flat files, just waiting for their turn.
I love it when people go into the narrative. They're not real listeners, any new listeners. This is my fake assistants. I don't have any assistants. But I love it when people just get into it and like add new things about Helen and Beulah. Like now they're filing their nails in the corner. All right. Can you tell those two ladies to please roll this tape? Because we need this interview to get started.
Helen, Beulah,
roll the tape.
That was amazing. That was so good.
I mean, we're joiners, so what can we say?
I'm so glad you are. And that was awesome. I loved every second. How do you feel?
That was great. Okay, obviously, I could have kept talking, but
well, you're gonna have to come back when things die down a bit with baby. I'm so excited for you, though.
Thanks.
I mean, I knew you were really pregnant. Obviously,
she's very pregnant. Holy smokes! It's like I hear her grunting from upstairs, and I'm like, "Yikes! It's a rough day."
I'm sorry, Amanda.
Can I tell her about when you heard me in the room? Yeah. So just Gab like comes down the hallway. She thought she was hearing noises from the bedroom. She thought I was masturbating, but I was just rolling over. Rolling over in bed.
Gab's like, hey, babe. Oh, wait.
That's right.
I like peeked my head around the door. I was like, what you doing? Oh, you're just getting comfortable.
No, just making the pillow arrangements.
I love it. That's amazing. So usually, what I do is I put the intro, the video up on Patreon for my Patreoners so that they can see you talk and us talk together. If you're cool with that, I will do that. I can edit that part out if you don't want that.
It doesn't matter to me.
We're good.
That's fine. You can use
good.
it as a juicy Patreon thing.
Oh my
That's
God,
fine.
I love it. Okay, because I think it's hilarious and it's so gay.
Very gay.
So gay. But with gay. I really, really love you too. Obviously, it is going to be edited down a bit. So, but it's not because I want it to be. I just needed it all to fit together. But the whole intro goes up on Patreon, so people get to hear
awesome
the whole thing.
Great. You should throw in Amanda's little masturbation take on that too, just to like.
That's what we were just talking about.
It is. It's going to be there.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So yes, keep it in.
That's going to be there. Faux show. Yeah, because that's good stuff. And keep in touch. Let me know. It's quick and painless. We did it. Bada boom, bada boom. And I'll be in touch if I have another one for y'all to co-host, and we'll just keep going.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make a trip out of it with the whole fam next time.
I'd love that.
And you can meet the kiddos.
Yeah.
We're in Toronto. Yeah.
Toronto.
So
it's not far.
No, not far.
Not far. Drive.
Yeah. When is this one scheduled to air?
This is Monday.
Monday. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect. So it's next week's episode.
Perfect.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. All right.
Pumped.
I have a picture of you. I have the picture already, so we're good on that front. I am going to send you an appearance release, just like the one you signed from before, but with the new name and logo on it.
That sounds good.
So you can
I really liked the one on raising boys and masculinity.
Oh, did you like that one?
I think was Teak Milan? No, Teak was the
intro. Was the intro. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. I've actually we had our own little breakdown when we found out that our first was a boy, and so that I was just like, this is actually extremely common. But I'm like, I really want to start a Facebook group or something called Dykes Raising Dudes so that we can have this.
You should.
Or you should have a Dykes Raising Dudes corner of your podcast, the last 10 minutes or a mini-sode or something where we can...
Dykes Raising Dudes and talk about... Because it's something every day. Like today, my son was like, Mom, is that a girl dog or a boy dog?
Yeah.
I think that's a girl dog. Oh, I never see boy dogs. There's no boy dogs. It's like...
We're all the boy dogs.
It's like always a thing. And then I'm like, there's one, and I pointed one out. Look, there's one. He's like, how do you know? I'm like, well, it has a penis. Oh, yeah, it's a boy. Like, oh my God.
I think it's a great topic. It's totally undoing the patriarchy to have queers raising boys. I think it just creates a whole new generation of different people. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for telling me that, because I was a little nervous about that episode.
No, it was a great one.
No, really good
one.
Oh, good. I was nervous that people were going to take it like I'm.
Oh no, I want to hear more. I want to hear more.
Okay, good.
Because that was part of what when Teak challenged you on why would you have been excited to have a girl or nervous about having a boy. I'm like, that was the question that came up for me, and I realized that I had been projecting an innate predatorial motive on my fetus that is actually a symptom of the patriarchy and what's the other word? Misogyny.
Yeah.
And it really challenged me to see the ways in which I had been not acknowledging that boys are victims of patriarchy and misogyny as well. And I was like, oh, I can't be my child's first oppressor but yeah.
Oh my God, you're so right, and you're so deep, and you said that so well. I think you need to have a podcast called Which is raising. What did you call it? Dykes raising.
Dykes raising dudes. You know what? Let's do
raising-
it together because there's no way I'm going to do it by myself. But
Okay,
I
let's
will
Dykes
be
raising
a
dudes.
guest. I will co-host.
Side biz, because
Another
everyone has
side biz.
time, right?
Yeah, because you need one of those. Because you need another side biz. But see, you notice a void for something and you fill it. I'm the same way. But you said that's so much better than I ever could. And now you got me thinking even deeper on this. But as soon as this is done, I'll probably stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Until again, he says something. It is really interesting though. It is. You know, and our boys are just trying to figure themselves out in a family full of women. And so that's a whole other layer too.
I don't even know what that would be like.
No.
I would think it'd be really special, but
right. But I've
It's
had
me.
to like force myself to kind of step back from this whole, oh my God, he's such a boy, to just, oh, he's just figuring it out because
they're subject to so much scrutiny publicly, and it's like your guardian only has so much influence. Dude, that's what my fear is. I'm like, there's so much more influence out and about where all this messaging comes in.
And I love you, and I can't wait for for you to go into labor tonight.
You'll be my first call.
Okay, sounds good. I like that.
Okay.
It's been great. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Sounds good. Take
Thanks
care.
Again. Bye.